Girl Talk 3, Camper Edition. Today we're on a rest day. Our host is Mary Peters. You may have heard of her. She's a pretty well-known rodeo photographer. She's so talented. This is one of her vintage campers that she has fixed up and is letting us stay in for a couple days. I wasn't expecting to do a girl talk today. This is a very spur of the moment, and I'm just gonna talk about some things that I've been thinking about recently. It sure seems like there's a lot of things I never completely overcome, at least not yet. Wonder how many of you can relate. Every time I get out the phone to record a video of me just talking to the camera by myself, it feels so weird. But it starts to dissolve just a little bit into the video typically. And similarly, starting segment 3 again, even though it's our third time back on the road after well over 500 days, like 545 or something, it still is very nerve-wracking when you get dropped off in the middle of nowhere, not near anyone you know, and we were like 7 hours from friends, over 1,000 miles from family, had no connections in the area, and it's nerve-wracking, but it always somehow works out. I've learned to just have faith in it and try and let go once we get there. Nonetheless, it's still scary leading up to it. Segment 3 has been going really well. Montana and Wyoming have been very friendly. We had no idea what to expect culturally. We haven't spent much time in the area, me not at all, and Torrin very little when he was young. People have been very welcoming. We were nervous because the towns are much further apart and a lot of them are very small, so there's not as many people in relation to the miles we're walking. So we probably have interacted with less people in comparison to the same amount of time walking out in the southeast just recently on segment 2, but in relation to the population, people have been reaching out quite a lot, more than expected. We've been hosted several times now and offered help numerous times. I couldn't keep track. People ask us if we need water or food on the side of the road all the time, and occasionally just bring us food as a treat. Although we love the social aspect, it's been very nice to have more alone time and more camping time. It allows you to spend more time together as a couple, me and Torrin, and also to have more self-reflection time, more just silence and time with nature. It's been refreshing. But we're looking forward to getting in the more populated areas and making more friends, of course, too. It seems like we definitely need both sides of the spectrum to make the kind of content that we want. The social time allows you to learn a lot, and the alone time allows more time for reflection to conclude what you're learning from those times. But you definitely need the downtime to soak it all in if you really want to learn from it. Even though our reception has been quite well and our followers have continued to grow as we keep walking, we always come back to the same problem. We're often discussing how to get people to care about the more meaningful content. It's easy to see a really exciting adventure and want to tune in to see what is it like to walk face first into traffic and have semis flying by your face, and what's it like to camp in the middle of nowhere and worry about wildlife. And it is exciting and fun, but the walk isn't at all worth it without the meaning behind it. The first 6 months taught us a lot about our resilience and what we're capable of and how malleable we are as humans in general. And that's what we want to share. That's why we are still walking. We wouldn't be walking at this point if it wasn't for the meaning we hope to share, so we're always working towards sharing the more important stuff. It seems that our main struggle is not just creating the meaningful content, but trying to make it digestible and get more people into it, because it's all about self-improvement and how to be more content and how to connect with more people and just live a better life. And not everyone thinks that they should do the work or wants to do work to be a more content or a better person. I am of the opinion that all of us could improve. I don't think there's ever a perfect goal of I'm good enough now, I've made it. I think growth is never ending if you want to live the most fulfilling life that you can. A couple of weeks ago, we crossed the border into Montana and we saw a sign that said, "White markers represent highway fatalities," and it showed a cross symbol that was white. And so I decided to start recording every cross that we passed for a few days, and it was really sad to see how many we passed over. I think it was 40 something miles. I'll have to put it in the video, show you guys. We passed dozens and dozens, and since I stopped recording them, we've passed dozens and dozens more. And it's such a huge reminder of how inconsiderate people can be. Some of the nicest people I know are some of the most reckless drivers. It's not just that bad people are less likely to be cautious, they're more likely to hit us. I think it's very likely that the people we often care about most are possibly very inconsiderate behind the wheel. You never know. I think it's really unfortunate that we live in a culture where something like telling your friend, hey, it's really not cool to text and drive, is taboo and sometimes considered rude to tell your driver that you feel unsafe. And I think that is something that we should all work to change. Driving a vehicle is so dangerous. It's like driving a bullet, a giant metal bullet. We have people that fly by our faces 1-2 feet away from us with no reaction. They just, I don't know if it's judgment or entitlement or both, probably sometimes, but it's a little sad. We don't want pity or anything. We just want to encourage people to be more considerate and hold the people that you care about accountable for things like that. That also makes me think of one of our hosts recently was telling us how they lost their son to an accident unexpectedly, and later in conversation we started talking about how self-improvement often comes after something catastrophic or traumatizing happens in your life. My father passing propelled me into self-improvement, and being in a relationship with Torin definitely sped that up way more than ever before. He encouraged me to want to grow and taught me about how overcoming fears is just something you have to dive into. You can't just wait to be strong enough to do something. You become strong from doing it. And I don't know how to make people care about that who don't already. It's unfortunate that so many people wait until something like that hits them and makes them realize, wow, life is really precious. People can die. People that you care about can die in any moment, any day. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. We should all be working to live the best, most loving and selfless lives that we can. We meet a lot of older people who, upon hearing about our journey and what we're doing, say, I wish I did something like that when I was your age, and now I can't because I literally physically can't. And it's kind of sad that it takes that reflection to realize that you wanted to do something more adventurous or exciting. I think people often chase after the security or something that they think is going to make them happy, but I don't think anything external truly makes you happy. Your environment can definitely have a huge effect on you, but you can't wait for achieving that thing or getting that career or getting that house or family. You can't wait for that to come to be happy, because something like that will never just make you happy. You have to learn to be happy with your circumstance. You have to learn to be present. I think most of the people that we meet that seem the most content are often people that have gone through hard times, or many of them have made it as far as careers and financial resources, and I think they realize after getting what they thought would make them happy that it didn't actually, and they are no longer chasing that. The walk teaches me over and over that being comfortable or being secure, knowing where you're gonna sleep, being around familiar people, although all of that is nice and I absolutely crave it, sometimes it's not fulfilling. It doesn't bring contentment. A woman emailed us recently telling us that we have inspired her more than ever today, she says that day, and tells us that she was on her way to go on a solo hike or a solo camp for the first time. And to know that we encouraged her to overcome a fear, just face it head on, means so much. Moments like that are exactly why we keep walking, and I hope people know how important it is to us when they reach out and are vulnerable and let us know that we've impacted their lives. A walk isn't worth it to be known or to have TV interviews or any of that. None of that is fulfilling on its own. It's only the impact that those things have on people that makes the walk meaningful. I think a lot of people have the idea that once you gain those followers or get that recognition, that it'll feel good, it'll be fulfilling or exciting, and it never quite is. I think people who are truly famous experience that and realize that that doesn't bring them happiness either. It's always the relationships that bring you happiness more than being known. Your relationships or learning how to be selfless and helping other people brings so much more contentment than receiving appreciation in some superficial way. It feels so weird to be on the side of the screen and receive really heartwarming comments like, you guys are so humble, or you guys are so brave or courageous, and comments like that. They're really, really sweet, but I feel like I'm so far from being the person I want to be, and I don't think I'll ever stop trying to grow and learn. It's a little odd to accept compliments like that. I hope everyone knows that we believe that we can all do more than we typically think. We're more malleable and more able to grow and just dive into challenges, things that we're terrified of. And we're not just some special people who are just strong enough or resilient enough to walk across the country. We've learned how to do this by just diving into it. We're pretty normal people in most ways. I hope that we can encourage everyone that follows us to seek more personal growth, to not settle for your mental state. If you're not happy, you can learn to be more content in your own mind. You can learn tools like meditation, reading, philosophy or religious books, just bringing anything to light that can help you be more at peace in your mind, training your attention span, training your attention to look at things in a more positive light, training your perspective to see things as an opportunity for growth instead of just something that is unfortunate and uncomfortable. You can perceive being uncomfortable in a completely different way than we often do. I think one of the tools that I would have used earlier in trying to train my perspective better would be redirecting towards a more difficult circumstance, like it is so hot and I feel so sticky and sweaty and uncomfortable. I would think about how much worse I've experienced of being hot or uncomfortable and think, okay, this isn't so bad, it could be worse. And I've grown kind of away from that, and I now try to see it as just sensation. I bring my attention back to my breath or my sight or the sound of the wind and realize that I'm fine, I'm okay in this moment. I'm going to receive respite, and it's going to feel even better for the fact that I was in this challenging state. Another thing related to our thoughts on hoping that we can grow people to care more about the meaningful content and not just enjoy seeing the happy stories is the sort of post that we're sharing to highlight the goodness in the world. We're not just trying to make people's day or convince them that there is good in the world, although that's great, of course, but more than anything, we hope that that example can show you that you can also connect with people more and connect with such diverse people. You can make friends with people that are complete opposite from you. We can all grow to be more loving, more empathetic. We can set our differences aside or learn to talk about things diplomatically. We don't have to be so defensive of our side. We can learn to maturely debate things that are uncomfortable and really complicated, even if it's about our belief systems. I believe that if you really, really care about someone, that you should be able to talk about the difficult things, and you should be able to bounce off each other and hopefully learn from each other and hopefully grow both closer to truth if you can. If you're wrong, you can only learn better from that discussion. And if you're right, hopefully you can help the person you care about learn more. And we definitely hope that showing people how many loving people are out there will encourage you to be more open and loving towards every kind of person. And remember that even if you can't see the effect you're having on the world, you affect everyone that you interact with. Everything we do affects the world around us. Even walking the country and meeting so many people, you would think that it's obvious the impact we're having from our perspective, but it's not really, and it shouldn't matter at the end of the day, as long as I know that we are having a positive impact on people's lives. If we end this and don't know for sure the change we've made, I'll at least be content and knowing that we tried to do the right thing, we tried to spread love, and I believe that we are creating ripples within individuals. And just know that the kindness and love that you share with people and the encouragement can mean a lot more than you know. A lot of people will not approach you and say, "You made this difference in my life, I carried that away, and it has caused a ripple effect, and my life is different because of that moment." Very few people, I think, have the courage or comfortability to approach people in that way. Just know that every action you have towards another person can affect their lives, for better or for worse, even if you don't see it. If you have any questions or suggestions for my next Girl Talk, feel free to comment below or message us on Facebook. Love you guys. Girl Talk 3, Camper Edition.